Well, Caleb Mulfwang, the governor of Plateau State, has announced on Monday that at least 50 people had been killed in multiple towns, towns in the inside the Mangu and Bokos local government area of the state by unidentified gunmen. Now, the governor Mulfwang conveyed his dismay at the recent wave of gunmen attack and their wanton devastation of farmlands and other properties. Now, he pledged to enact strict policies to address state insecurity. Now, these killings took place in about 48 hours. Another paper mentioned, was it 70 or 60 something?
72.
72.
Yeah.
But the governor is saying 50.
50.
So the figures might be more. We have joining us virtually Chukuma Okoro. Good morning to you, Chukuma. Welcome to the conversation and happy Boxing Day. Now, the governor of, I'm going to go straight to it now. Governor Caleb Mulfwang vowing to implement strict measures. Isn't this a little late in the day? Because the insecurity in Plateau State has been ongoing for way too long now. Would you say the governor is waking up to the reality of the time?
Good morning, Moses, and good morning to you, Charles, and every other person in the studio. Compliments of the season.
Compliments to you.
Yeah, compliments of the season. Unfortunately, the season has turned.
All right, we have a glitch in the network there. We have Charles Ideho with us. Charles, good morning to you. Compliments as well. Happy Boxing Day. I will be expecting my gift at the end of the day. I know we didn't discuss that, but I'm putting it to you now that I'll be expecting my gift. But in the meantime, let's talk about...
Don't bring that on TV, please.
Let's talk about...
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Chukuma.
Yes.
Okay.
I said the season is the people are mourning now, and I mourn with them. My heart goes out to people that lost loved ones in the incident. It's a very unfortunate one, and like Moses said, it is one too many because it has lasted for as long as I remember. As long as I remember, way back in the days when I was a student, with the issue of Just North and Just South came up, it's been killing all along. And I'm talking about the past 32 or 33 years ago, or even before then, and we have a governor who has vowed that he is going to implement strict measures. I don't know the measures he's going to implement. The governor is saying 50 persons died. Leadership says 72. Last night, Al Jazeera said 113. So you can see that the figures are conflicting. AFP said 87 as well. So, but the issue remains that people have been killed in cold blood. People have been killed during the festive season. It's very unfortunate. The other day we discussed insecurity. I tried to characterize what we understand by insecurity. And I said, and the issue of insecurity is relative to the environment. In this environment, no matter how long we live in denial, is the issue of the struggle for space between the herders, the nomadic herders, and the natives. That is what it is. And the earlier we begin to characterize it as what it is, the better for us. Herders want land. Natives don't have land to give. And so there's a conflict. And I did say the other day, why would herders want land in the 21st century when they can do ranching? I mean, they can do ranching. You don't have to move cows up from Lake Chad down to the Middle Belt to the Atlantic Ocean just to feed your cows, when you can do ranching in any part of the country. In agriculture. So why would people have to give their lives? Why would people have to be killed just to make sure that cows are fed in this time? And for the governor, I sympathize with him. For the 8 years Autumn was governor of Plateau State, of Benue State, he had this struggle with the Fulani herdsmen, with the herders. For the 8-year period, he never saw eye to eye with the president because as far as he was concerned, the president was unable to rein in his kinsmen. That is what it is. The president was unable to rein in his kinsmen. And the governor at this moment, no matter how he tries to paper over it, is hamstrung. He is not in control of the police. He is not in control of the military. And come to think of it, that he was even speaking when during a luncheon for Operation OSP or Operation Save Haven, the People, Operation Help the
Safe Haven.
In a military environment where more than 100 people have been killed and you are conducting a luncheon? What does it tell you? To me, it amounts to insensitivity. The luncheon could have been called off, and the Army General said they had 36
actually.
They had 36, 36 issues they had to respond to. And what happened? Yet people were slaughtered like animals. The luncheon should have been called off.
All right.
And something better done with the lives of the people. See, the earlier we begin to address these issues and not paper over them, the better for us. It brings me to the issue of how to restructure the country. State police.
Okay.
State police. Okay. Because we have seen even these killers dressed in military camouflage. And the military is there. They can't do anything, only for them to arrive after the killings have been done. What does it tell you? There's a degree of complicity on their part, whether we like it or not. And who constitute the preponderance of officer corps of the army? It's the people we are talking about.
All right, then.
We have to speak truth to power. That is what it is.
Yes. All right, then.
That is what it is.
Let's take Charles's view now. Charles, let's bring you into this conversation. Chukwuma did emphasize something. He said the governor really is not in control because he doesn't have control over the security apparatus of the state. That's why he's crying out, isn't it? Because he seems to be crying like a helpless man. Charles, please.
Good morning, one more time. But let me say here that first, before I respond to that, I want to disagree slightly with Chukwuma that there was absolutely no need for that luncheon. The luncheon wasn't to feast. The luncheon wasn't to gather politicians together to feast. No, it was held just to appreciate the military and the other security agencies what he thinks they are doing in his state. All right. So, but I personally don't see anything when you're able to identify whether it's small mayor or large mayor or medium scale mayor of what we are doing to the state. I think for me, it's not out of place. So that's my own perspective to that. But
okay. As
for not being in charge, it's not only the governor of Plateau State that is not in charge of his state, of the military apparatus, of for security in total. Because if you look at it, that the way the command structure is built in Nigeria, when the military left us in 1999, those who inherited the governance, and today we are all saying we are in a civil rule, we inherited the structure of the military, with the command and control, where everything we have to come down from Abuja. If there is any aggressor that is coming into your state, you don't have any power to summon the commander of that ship. Maybe it's the 3rd Division, 1st Division, or the 82nd Division in Enugu, or whatever, or even Ikeja Katumet, even the one that is in Lagos. The governor of Lagos State has no power under the law to summon the commander in Katumet to go over there to quell whatever insurrection or what we see. So we inherited this centralized system of policing in Nigeria, which of course I also buy into what Chukwuma said about state police, because you have all these things, totally. When you have them, you have maybe it's insecurity or security apparatus, you have all of them decentralized. You can have a collegiate control, but not vested in the hands of one man or vested in the hands of just a few, or right there in Abuja. So you can even we are putting a seized geopolitical structure. Nothing stop us. It's okay. Those states within the middle belt, or the one which of course we know as the North Central, their command could be located in Kaduna. The one in South, their command could be located maybe in Port Harcourt or Benin, whichever way you choose. Then the one in Southwest could be located in Lagos. So you don't have any recourse to be looking towards Abuja for Abuja to give a go-ahead before you can quell any riot or any such thing that just happened in the Plateau State. So as I said, we 20, how many years ago? Actually, 24 years after, we are still operating a unity system. We are still operating a command and control system of the military. We are running a democracy. I don't think in the U.S. that you have where everybody have to look towards Washington, D.C. before something happens in the state of Iowa or state of Idaho for them to do anything about that. Because, and then don't also forget that there's ethnicity in this. Like what Chukuma said about people wanting land. You either give your land or you die for it. That's exactly what's happening. Plateau used to be a very peaceful Christian state. I've visited Jos a number of times. Once you pass what they call Akwanga, you'll be going up and up for about 2 hours. You are ascending, which was why in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, you found a preponderance of white population in Jos because the atmosphere and the weather condition in Jos actually suits them over there. But today, everything is about you give your land or you die for it. And when you had Buhari there for 8 years, it suited Buhari fine because people who want the land, they were his people. They were his people. Those people who want the land, they were his people. About just Fulani people who wanted land and they had to get to a court. And don't forget that there were speeches and statements that were created to Buhari at that time that you either give your land or I don't want to mention some of these things because I don't want to start bringing back some of these things that Buhari said. But these were credited to him, and he also came. Remember when he came to Lam Adesina in Ibadan, when Lam Adesina was the governor of Plateau, when he said that all this killing of Fulani, they were killing his brothers, that they had to stop. So if Buhari, as he became president, he still continued to refer to criminals as his brothers, then you now knew exactly why the whole thing had to fester for that long. And Tinubu has, because if you don't nip something in the bud and you allow it to fester and it has grown taproot, even if person is coming to take over, we have nothing to do. Just Tinubu has nothing for now to do about it, because even when you look at the military apparatus, most of those who hold even key positions in the military, they are from that part of the country. So are you going to say you are going to have a first food? We're going to sweep them out of power in order to bring about a balance of power in this country? It's not going to happen. So it's very unfortunate that killings are still going on over there. It's very unfortunate that the government appears not to be doing anything about it. It's very unfortunate that when people are rejoicing and we're all saying that Christ came and came for the redemption of sin, people are still finding way to commit sin and without looking at any repercussion for government, because it may never come. And that's the sad part of it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Charles. Mr. Chukuma now. So, over the years, last 6 years in Benue State, 6 persons were killed on Christmas Eve. And this year in Nigeria as well, a couple of persons, 50 or more, has been killed in Plateau. And Mr. Ideho mentioned something that we inherited a centralized system of policing. Now, the question is, what can the government actually do better? It feels like as each year comes by, Nigeria, there's usually more insecurity issues in Nigeria, no matter how hard the government possibly tries to tackle insecurity. So now, what do you think the government is not doing and should do better to reduce the number of persons being killed in each state in the nation?
To me or to him?
It's for me, right?
Mr. Chukuma, please.
That's for me. Okay.
Yes, Charles is for me, but there's a value we are supposed to place on human lives. In this program, now, if I get a call or I get a text message that my father has dropped dead, I'll just give you 5 minutes and end the show as a sign of respect to my father. You know, you remember that Bush 2 was somewhere outside Washington on 9/11. And when he was told that America, that the Pentagon, the World Trade Center had been hit, he quickly rounded off with what he was doing and left the scene. That's the value Americans place on human lives. I insist, you are entitled to disagree. I insist that the luncheon didn't need to hold because soldiers they are already inured to the god of violence. So having that luncheon wouldn't add anything because, and if you ask me, these are the people, the same people who were stationed there to protect citizens. And within their environment, over 100 people were killed and they were in a luncheon. If you ask me, it's a high level of insensitivity. Let me come to you now. The issue of what the government needs to do. The other day, I tried to profile the issue of insecurity across the 6 geopolitical zones. You know, I tried to isolate them region per region. What is causing insecurity in the Middle Belt is clearly an issue of land grab. People are looking for land. For now, that is what they are. They might extend that ambition to other parts of the country. But specifically, that is not what is causing insecurity in the Southeast. What is causing insecurity in the Southeast is the people feel that they have been shut out of the leadership at the commanding heights of the nation's leadership. What is causing insecurity in the Northwest is in the Northeast, is that the people want to create or want to cover an Islamic state for them. So let's break it down here. One thing you can do is to ensure that the person you designate as the chief security officer of the state, who is the governor, is in actuality the security officer of the state. You can't call me chief security officer of the state. The commissioner of police doesn't take orders from me. The head of the military division doesn't take orders from me. The director of the DG of the state director of the DSS doesn't take orders from me. So what does it make me? I'm just at their mercy. They can try. You remember what happened in Enugu? That was in 2014. The people of Nimbo were slaughtered, and the governor was put on call. The governor tried to put a call to the president, and he was held on for 3 hours. Why? Because a particular person had asked him to get clearance from the president in his state. Meanwhile, within those 3 hours, the marauders finished their clinical job, their clinical killing of citizens, and left. It was after they left that the IGP now had to send his people to that area to go and arrest innocent people. It doesn't work that way. If you call me chief security officer, make me chief security officer. And I'm a bit surprised that in 1998, when the current president, as member of NADECO, when they were campaigning for ACN to become president, that was Olufalaye, the main plank of their campaign was restructure, and they hinged on the issue of state police. Shortly after he became governor, the whole issue of state police, nobody talks about it. NADECO doesn't talk about it. ACN doesn't talk about it. APC doesn't talk about restructuring or the state police. Why? Why is it so? The honest thing for us to do is to make sure that the governor, who is designated as the chief security officer, is actually the chief security officer. We should have state police. We should have local government police.
So now, shouldn't the state governors actually request for this, seeing that it's affecting the security of the people that they are leading in their states?
That's exactly the issue. It's difficult for me to understand why, because when President Bola Tinubu was campaigning to be governor of Lagos State, and Olufalaye They were projecting Olufalaye to be president. The main plank of their campaign was state police restructure. Let's restructure this country. But the moment they became governors, I don't know what happened. I can't, it's inexplicable. Maybe Charles can help us because I don't understand. Nobody talks about state police again. When somebody is campaigning, he said, the moment I get into National Assembly, I'm going to talk about state police. We need to restructure and empower the governors. The moment they get into office, they forget about it. What is the issue? Honestly, to be very sincere, I don't understand. I don't understand why.
All right, then.
You remember that? Sorry, Moses. During the Cuban crisis, during the Cuban refugee crisis somewhere in Arkansas, when Clinton was the governor of Arkansas, I think that was in his first term in office. There was this thing that he had with Jimmy Carter that they had to move Cuban refugees to a military facility in Arkansas. So when Clinton and Jimmy Carter disagreed, I think there was this provision, or there is this provision in their constitution that the governor is in charge of some part of the National Guard. And he was able to call them in. It was after he called them in that Jimmy Carter now looked at it and said, oh, this thing is going to snowball into a big problem in Arkansas. And it...
All right. Okay, we have a glitch in the network now. Let me come to Chukwuma now. Chukwuma, the commander of OPSH, that's Operation Safe Haven, Major General Abdusalam Abubakar, during the luncheon said that they received 36 distress calls when the attacks were taking place, and his men responded. And he said, as they were speaking at the luncheon, some of his men were hospitalized. The question on my mind is, are they overwhelmed? The military, are they overwhelmed in that area? Because if you're having 36 different distress calls, how many men do they have on ground to, cover all those areas? And he did say that those 36 calls were simultaneously. Are they overwhelmed? And if they are, what should be done differently?
You said Chukwuma, was that an error? Let me say this, that the issue of being overwhelmed is not there at all, because we do have the military strength to quell any insurrection. We do have the military strength and, of course, the professionalism to do damage to any insurrection in this country or any criminal activities. What you find happening is because those who are given charge over granting command or giving command to who should do what, the people who are placed above them do not give such commands. I know the way military is structured. I'm a son of a military man. The way it's structured, the command system cannot be, you don't break it in military. Where the police can sometimes, once in a while, police, they veer off track, the track and all that. But in the army, it is stated, you can be court-martialed for giving command when you're not be given the order by a superior. So if they receive that distress call, nobody moves with any arms or ammunition except they receive the command from whoever is constitutedly or constitutionally or whatever the military powers they use to grant that command. If you do so, as I said, you have run foul of the martial laws in the military. So the military, as we speak, it's not as if the military is is overused, or whatever language you are using. I'm telling you that those people who are supposed to give command, do they have vested interest? How about if, for instance, I'm just using an example, you have an Edo man that is in government or is in position to give a command, and this Edo man, you have Edo people fighting against maybe Urobo, and Edo people, they want this land from Urobo. and you have a man who is supposed to give command to stop Edo from doing that. If the Edo is gaining victory, there's no way the Edo man will give that command to say they shouldn't go there. You see, that's what we're talking about personal interest. Interest in those days wasn't in the military. The military in those days, the way it was fashioned, the way it was structured was to have patriotism towards the state, which is Nigeria. But Babangida came in and everybody began to think west, they began to think west, they began to think north and think east and think south. And that's what bastardized the military. Today, when you give a command, they first of all look at it with a fine thin comb or whether a tooth comb, or they look at it with their binoculars. Whether it's against Fulani interest. If it's against Fulani interest, if the man who is there is he won't give that command. Is it against Kanuri interest? Is it against Yoruba interest? And that's exactly why it is like so. They are not overwhelmed. But the command structure of the military has become even ethnicized, or whatever language we're going to use. The command structure in the military is also politicized. And you now have military men even venturing into political issues and all that wasn't there in the beginning. So just like what Chukuma said about what he doesn't know what's happening, Uma was asking if the governors will not ask for them to be chief security officer indeed. But I can tell Chukuma that, yes, they are chief security officers in writing or on paper, but they are indeed chief executive officers. The chief security officers of, there's an appellation that is attached to their name is non-existent in real life. But we can copy and paste what they did in the northeast. Mm-hmm. When was last time you heard about Boko Haram doing damage anywhere? Because the Governor Zulum and his colleagues within the northeast, I'm supposed to say, they came together to say this is our problem. We can't wait for Abuja to begin to tell us how to solve our own problem. They all came out, gave marching orders to they threatened the traditional rulers around that place that in your domain, if we see such a thing, we are going to be removed. And they all came out. They came out with vigilante. Everybody, they all volunteered their men and resources, and they were able to move all these insurgents out of the northeast. Today is in the northwest. If you go to the northwest, it's about the Fulani wanting to dominate the Hausa. And as long as there is the Hausa that is receiving some of these things, and the Fulani is the one that is claiming victory, the traditional rulers, all of them, they are happy about it. That's why you see that all this thing that was in the northeast has now been exported, or whether imported. I think I should say imported by the northwesterners. And today that is frustrating because traditional rulers, military leaders who are both retired and all that, who have interest in Fulani dominance, they are there and they are not doing anything about it. If you look at Enugu State, right, the man who's there today, the man has been able to do everything. All this sit at home on Monday, it has become a thing of the past in Enugu State. It is the man who decided even to be creative, to look for what is internal. I was able to do it today now. I don't think we have all this issue of sit at home in Enugu anymore. So that's exactly how to go about it if we indeed must move forward.
All right, there. Thank you very much, Charles. Chukuma, if you're still with us, Miyetti Allah, they had a long run with the former governor of Plateau State. We've also had the issue of ethnic cleansing. All right, that has been in the conversation for quite some time now. Now, the former president is no longer in office. I think he was a patron of the Miyetti Allah Association, but he's no longer in office, and we have a different person at the helm of affairs now. Why is it that the leaders of Miyetti Allah are not being called to question? Why are they not talking about checking the activities of headers, most of them Fulani headers, in Plateau State? Mango, where some of these things take place, was in the news. I mean, has always been in the news. The other day, Miyetti Allah claimed about 125 cattle belonging to them were rustled in Mangu and another community there. Why is it that now that there is a new, somebody in authority, why are we not calling the hem of affairs of Miyetti Allah to question here?
Okay, Moses, I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm still here. I will come to you. I want to challenge Charles to take a bus on a Monday to Enugu and see if there is sit at home or not. Again, I will challenge him to go to Imo State and tell a traditional ruler to rein in the boys that are causing the problem.
In that regard.
No. It's Enugu. I zeroed in on Enugu, not Imo State. I zeroed.
Please, let me.
No.
Before,
I know. I talked about sit at home in Enugu. Then I'm talking about importing the Zulum formula from the northeast to the southeast. You go to Enugu and to Imo State and tell a traditional ruler to rein in his boys. A traditional ruler that has been sacked from his domain is the person you're asking to rein in the boys. So that is why I still believe that these things we look for local solutions. It's good that Zulum and Co. did what they are doing, but that formula, that method might not actually work in the southeast because of the volatile nature of the cause of insecurity. Okay, now Moses, let me come back to you.
Okay.
Why it is difficult to rein in Miyetti Allah, despite the fact that a new president, a new man is in the saddle. This thing has been long in the coming. It's taken a very long time. You remember before Buhari even became president, the thing was ongoing. In fact, the thing has been on for as long as I can remember. I remember I cited the issue of Jos North and Jos South. It's the same issue that is expanding, but in different dimensions. So the president is new in office. It will be difficult for him to just say, Miyetti Allah, stop, or the Fulani headsmen, stop. Why? Because the command structure of the military is still in the hands of the very people in question. That is just it. That is it. If you ask me, that is my sincere opinion. The command structure of the military, the command structure of the DSS, the command structure of all the intelligence agencies are still in the hands of northerners who are beneficiaries of these killings, who are beneficiaries of this expansion. The military is ethnocentric. Like Charles said, the military is ethnocentric. Their interests, they are tribal interests, they are ethnic interests. Why is it that these people are quick to round up IPOBs in the southeast and decimate them, but they are unable to do that to herdsmen in the middle belt? Why? It's a matter of interest. The people that are concerned.
All right. Well, I guess this is where we'll thank you, gentlemen, for this part, but we'd like for you to stay. Charles, I perceive that you have concluding thoughts you want to drop right now before we move on to the second topic. Do you?
Well, the conclusion is that the president, Ahmed Tinubu, who made so many boasts in the past, he presented so many papers, both when he was Nadeko chieftain and when he became governor. Like Chukwuma said, all the things, all the solutions he felt he had for Nigeria, for us to make progress. Where are those things today? Now he's on the saddle and he's not doing nothing. He had the best of solutions then about how Nigeria should make progress. He was canvassing for restructuring of the country, was canvassing for state police, was canvassing all manner of things he believed that should. But today now he's on the saddle. As Chukwuma said, he's not mentioning any of such. So he tells you that some of them, once they get to power, they forget every other thing, that it is the interest, personal interest, that reigns supreme in their minds. It's
interesting that you had to talk about the president now, because we're going. The next topic has to do with what the president is saying. The president vows relief for hardship in his Christmas message to Nigerians? We'll delve into that one when we come back. Stay with us.